I was given a Christmas present a few years ago by a friend of mine to go and see a fortune teller. It's not something I ever would have done on my own, and it wasn't something I really wanted to do then. But anyway, I went. I went to the woman's apartment. It was in London, in West London, and I walked up all the stairs to her apartment, and I opened the door of her apartment, and there she was. I'd never met her before. She was 60 years old, and she had lots of gold, and she had a certain beauty to her face. No one could deny that. Certainly not me. Anyway, she's smoking a cigarette, and she's drinking a cup of tea, it being England, you know? And she looks at me in the eyes, right in the eyes, and she says, "Darling, I don't need to look at the cards to see what your problem is. You need someone to love. And if you can't find a woman, or a man, or whatever it is that tweaks your Bedelia, I suggest you get a cat." Annoying, no? I found it so. Anyway, we sit down, and she gets out her tarot cards, and she shuffles them, and she puts 6 cards, or some number, I can't remember, right down in front of me. And she looks at them, and she says, "Forget about the cat. You'll fall in love within the week." I hadn't even been dating for a couple of years. You know how it is. Well, maybe you don't. But I was obviously quite freaked out, and she'd really got my attention. Anyway, for the next hour or so, she told me things about myself that I knew as she uttered them were true. And of course, I was riveted. And then we were having this communication, a sort of divine communication, a really intense, sort of inspired communication. Like sometimes you might get 2 a.m. in the morning drunk with your best friend, or sometimes you will get with your lover, or just an extraordinary heightened communication. The Sufis talk about this form of communication, but since I can't remember the word they use, I'll just move on. Anyway, amidst this communication where we were so involved with each other, I saw her face darken, I saw her retreat, I saw like the ears of a herd of deer flick up, you know what I mean? And I said, "What's the problem?" She said, "There is no problem." I said, "Please, I know, I can see, there's a problem. What aren't you telling me?" She said, "I'm not telling you something because I can't understand what it is that the cards are telling me. Sometimes, you know, I can't read their language. I can't put it into language." I said, "Just tell me. I know you're hiding it from me." She said, "Shuffle the cards and deal again." I said, "Please tell me." She said, "Shuffle the cards and deal again." So I did. I shuffled them and I dealt another 6 cards up. And here is where you either believe me or you don't, but I tell you it's true. And it may not seem that strange here to you, because it's, you know, but to me it was really freaky, because out of the 6 cards, 5 were exactly the same. And she looked at them for a millisecond, and she looked at me and she said, "Okay, I'm going to tell you, my love. It's violence. I see violence." Now, violence can be many different things. It can be a violent change of opinion. It can be all sorts of permutations. But the word she used was violence. But she said, "Don't worry, it's not going to happen for a long time." And then she ended the session. And of course, I left it really paranoid. And I walked around paranoid for 3 days. And I walked into a cell phone shop paranoid. And in the cell phone shop, there was a girl I liked the look of. And I talked to her and I invited her out to dinner. And then, you know, we hooked up. And it was amazing. For a year, we were together. It was incredible. I suppose you could say we fell in love. And then I'm walking down a street at night in West London, maybe midnight, minding my own business, feeling really good, and 3 guys jump out of the shadows, and for no reason, they attack me. Not for robbery, nothing. Nothing I can understand. And one of them has brass knuckles. We call them knuckle dusters. And he smashes me in the face, breaking 7 bones. Here, 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 here. All around there. And I have facial reconstructive surgery. Very good. Goes through the eye, up through the mouth. And there's a little scar here you could see if I shaved my head, which sometimes I do. My girlfriend, she left me. And so there I am, after the operation, lucky to have had it, lying on the floor of my apartment, crying, weeping bitterly, just generally depressed, unhappy, and still freaked out. And then I remember the woman's prophecy. I remember that she had prophesied this violence as she had prophesied the things before. And I think I must go and speak to her. So I call up my buddy who'd originally organised the thing, and I say, "Where's that fortune teller?" And she says, "Hey, she's gone to live in Egypt." And I said, "Egypt? Why's she done that?" She said she's gone to live in the shadow of the Great Pyramid. You know, she's a witch. That's what witches do. So I book a plane ticket and I fly to Cairo and I go and meet her. And what happens then is another whole story. Something I couldn't have predicted. But it is really what caused me to write this book, The End of Sleep. So there it is. Now you know the full story. The story I've just told you is true. The end of sleep is fiction. I'm going to tell you right now, tell you, whoever you are, now, I'm alone in a field in Ireland, in Donegal, but whoever you are, I'm going to tell you. Thanks for looking.